and lawmakers debate more stimulus in Washington, let's talk about the need maybe for more government aid, what it might focus on. Senator John Barrasso of Wyoming joins us. Senator, thanks for joining us this morning.
Thank you, Joe.
We appreciate it. You read the news, you watch the coverage. What about some of the states that are seeing an increased incidence? I know even Dr. Fauci has emphasized it's probably, and Dr. Gottlieb, who we have on a lot, it's a continuation of the first wave. It's not necessarily a second wave. These are states that hadn't really been that affected to this point. Is it worrisome, though, Senator? Obviously, it's worrisome, but is it going to turn into something that makes us shut down again, in your view?
Joe, let me be very clear. There will not be another shutdown of this country and this economy. We are much better prepared to deal with it now. You know, and you had Dr. Gottlieb on earlier today. We are much closer to a vaccine. We know what we need to do. Treatment, dexamethasone, really finding great success, as well as remdesivir. So we know what to do. More people are coming out. I've expected a bit of a spike as more people came back to work. We need to get America going, our economy going, people back to work. We are back in Wyoming, more activities, parades, rodeos, businesses are open. All of these things are good signs, and we're going to continue in that direction. So, yeah, I continue to expect to see some increase in cases, but we're not necessarily seeing a significant increase in hospitalizations or deaths. The number of deaths has continued to decline. So we need to continue on this direct effort to reopen the economy, get America back to work. It's the best thing we can do for our country and for the economy. And we have the capacity now, hospital beds, testing, all of those things, treatment to deal with the disease much better.
Okay, so we stay open and we have some stimulus money left that hasn't been used. Is there, in your view, a need for even more?
Not at this time, Joe. We're going to reassess in about a month. I'm going to be meeting with the chairman of the Federal Reserve in a couple of days because he has called for some of that. There are a couple of things that we need to do if there is additional legislation. And number one is liability protection. For our teachers, for our small businesses, for our healthcare workers, you don't want the sue and settle lawyers to come and bring a new pandemic upon us. So that would be part of it. If there is an additional piece of legislation, I think we need to take a look at infrastructure, roads, bridges, highways, things that actually put people back to work all across the country. I chair the committee in the Senate that's done that. We've come out with a bill 21-0. All the Republicans, all the Democrats, including Bernie Sanders, has supported that. So there are things that we can absolutely do if we need to do more to help the economy. You know, but one of the big detriments, and we see help wanted signs out here in Wyoming and around the country, it's the fact that we continue to pay people under this unemployment insurance benefit plan, the $600 plus up for unemployment benefits. People are getting paid more to not work than to work. And we see about 2/3 of the people on this program are getting paid to stay home. But when the government decided to shut down the economy, we needed to do something that would make a real difference and help and hold those people harmless. But we're now at a point where it's a disincentive when we need to get people to work, and that expires on July 31st.
Is the bonuses for going back to work, is any legislation, I think Senator Portman's involved, is that going anywhere? Or do you support something like that? Is that going to become law?
Well, I saw Rob talking, I think, to Becky yesterday about it. He talked about it for the last month. I don't see that becoming law right now. You know, Nancy Pelosi wants to extend this $600 per week benefit all the way into 2021. This costs about $80 billion each month of spending, of additional debt onto the country. We want to make sure that people who can't go back to work because of the health conditions or because of the fact that their job isn't coming back, we want to help those people, hold them harmless. But to just continue to pay more if you stay at home than going to jobs. Target is paying now $15 an hour to start. But yet if those folks are staying at home, they can make, you know, it's comparable to making over $22 or $23 an hour for not working. So we have the incentives wrong. That has to end the end of July.
Andrew?
Hey, Senator, wanted to ask you a bit about the liability issue for employers and wanted to raise what's become a bit of a controversy around AMC, the cinema chain. Last night, the CEO coming out saying that he is not going to require customers to wear masks in theaters, going to encourage it, but not going to require it. Says, by the way, that one of the reasons he's not going to require it is because he believes it's political. And you heard the president yesterday make comments that he believes that wearing masks are somehow a signal of a political view against the president. By not wearing a mask in a theater, even though the employees may wear masks themselves, you could argue, and you're the doctor, but you could argue that you are putting the employees at some level of danger. Would you provide liability protection for a theater like that?
You know, I have a lot of concerns about that. I know you were discussing that with Scott Gottlieb earlier this morning. You're talking about a confined space where people are there for extended periods of time and breathing essentially the same air. It's just like being on an airplane. And I was on 2 flights yesterday getting back to Wyoming. When that happens, I think people's increased risk is there, and people ought to be wearing masks in those situations. I would think that you would actually, if he's in the business of trying to get people to come and see a movie, I think people are going to be reluctant to spend their money to go and sit in a confined space for a couple of hours, breathing the same air as a lot of folks who aren't wearing masks. So part of this, and I talked to one of the Federal Reserve chairmen this past week about how do you get back to people with disposable income spending that, where those dollars are spent. And people have to feel safe as they go out and back into the community, back into entertainment entities. All of those things are important as people make buying decisions. So, you know, I think that you want to make sure that you're providing liability protection for businesses that are following the prescribed guidelines, and make sure that we just don't have all of an explosion of lawsuits. If somebody said, gee, I went and shopped in that store, or I went to that school, or I did, went to that doctor, and now I have coronavirus. I think we need protection that is not there today.
All right, Senator. Wyoming. Bring us, if we haven't followed it that closely, what in the last 3 months, what have we basically seen? A lot of room, obviously. So not the same urban sort of setting we have here in Times Square. Just bring us up to date on what you've watched in your state.
Sure. Everybody in America has been impacted by coronavirus, some more by the disease, and you've seen that in New York City. In Wyoming, the impact has been most dramatic on our economy. And we talk about our energy economy, our agriculture economy, our tourism economy. All of those things have gone flatline as a result of coronavirus, people not traveling, the issues of beef and what's happening with the Packers and all of those issues, the agriculture component of this, and energy. And you were reporting when energy prices went negative at a time when Putin and Saudi Arabia were trying to flood the market with energy. The demand for energy dropped dramatically as planes weren't flying. So our impact has been much more on the economic side. I was in a rodeo in a county last week. Now, the county is actually larger than the state of Rhode Island. So we're talking big areas of geography. They have not had a new case of coronavirus in 2 months. So it's foolish to have the economy shut down in a place like that. That's why it's so important that we reopen, get people back to work. And now that we have the capacity to do it, it makes a difference because people can find treatment, find testing, all of those things. We're testing now across the country 500,000 people a day. The entire month of March, we've only tested 1 million people in the United States. So the capacity is there. The hospital capacity is there. We need to get America working again, and now is the time.
All right. Dr. Senator, thank you. We appreciate it. And it's good to see you. And it sounds like you've been watching Squawk Box all morning long. We appreciate that, too. And support our sponsors as well, Senator. We appreciate that.
There's a lot to learn by watching Squawk Box, especially you, Joe. Oh. Becky pretty much too. Andrew sometimes.
Okay. Oh, man. Okay. Wow. Ooh. I had no idea you were going there, but thank you for coming on today. To the aforementioned, okay, Senator, see you. Andrew.
You know what, though? He always engages, and I appreciate that very, very much.